Welcome, everyone, to another live stream review episode of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. I'm Jeff. I'm going to be moderating this evening. With me, I've got my co-host and good friend, Cybernetichshark. Cybernetichshark, what's up, brother? Uh-oh.
Oh, he's on mute.
We got audio problems. That's not good. All right, Cyber.
All right, we'll skip him for now.
Cyber, I'll get back to you in just 1 second. We've got from the Podcast of Champions and sakar.freeforums.net, Taylor. Good to see you, Taylor.
Hey, good to see you.
And we've got a new face on the program. We've got Grayson from the podcast B is For Brutal, an MMA podcast that he does with his girlfriend, Deja, who's a very kind and decent person who I've enjoyed talking to and getting to know. And he's also the host of the Kloss Show that I actually was on recently, and apparently was well received. Cyber, yeah, we still can't hear you, brother. Let me see.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you are. All right, there he is. All right, you all good, Cyber?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right,
I don't know why you didn't hear me. I don't know why.
It could have been on my end. I don't know. You never know.
I don't. Yeah, that was weird because I was going like this and everything was fine. And I could sound and hear myself and everything. I heard you guys, so I don't know why I did that. So,
well, either way, folks, we are here doing this live stream review because we are going to be doing a full, comprehensive Shang-Chi review, and then we're going to bust off and do some what if episode 6 type, breakdown review type talk. But basically, I just want to thank and let everybody know out there that ends up catching this when it's not live and it's the video on YouTube. We really appreciate you. Please follow us and subscribe, and feel free to like us. And, hopefully we'll get some people in the comment section throughout the show here tonight. But let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Why don't I go ahead and start off by just playing the Shang-Chi trailers right off the bat, and then we'll jump right into the questions.
I gave you 10 years to live your life. Where did that get you? You walked in my shadow. I trained you. So the most dangerous people in the world couldn't kill you. Son, it's time for you to take your place by my side. You better watch out, 'cause it's my time. That's not going to happen. It's a new era, yes, I come alive. You woke up the dragon. You can't outrun who you really are.
You. We make a good team.
Throughout my life, the 10 rings gave our family power. If you want them to be yours one day, you have to show me you are strong enough to carry them.
You are a product of all who came before you. The legacy of your family. You are your mother. And whether you like it or not, you are also your father.
I told my men they wouldn't be able to kill you if they tried. Glad I was right.
You're just a criminal who murders people.
Be careful how you speak to me, boy.
I thought I could change my name, start a new life. But I could never escape his shadow.
My son, you can't run from your past.
Is this what you wanted?
You got this.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. I'll tell you what, guys, I'm gonna miss watching those trailers when we all move past Shang-Chi and everything, and I'm gonna miss them. I really like those trailers. I really like the music in that second trailer. I like that track. But to start things off, going right off the trailers, I want to go to you, Grayson, right off the bat, because Grayson is kind of like an MCU novice. He's never even seen an Avengers movie. So what I wanted to ask you was, going in and seeing Shang-Chi without an MCU background like we all have, like Cyber and Taylor and I have, did you feel like you understood what was going on with the film? Did you feel like you got the story and everything? And
Oh yeah. I didn't even see the trailer going into it, but I was like, all right, this is this dude's dad. He's got some magic rings, and he's trying to bring back his dead wife. This is essentially the plot.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Yeah. So you didn't feel like there was anything missing for you or anything like that? Like you felt like you had a good idea what was going on? And
when I watched the end credits scene, I was like, who are these people he's talking to? But that's about it.
That's understandable.
That was about it.
That's understandable. And we'll get into the end credit scenes, and I'll get you guys' opinions on those in just a minute. But I just wanted to ask you that just because, I think it's interesting. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the actual film craft when it comes to Marvel Studios, and the fact that they make these films very individually to where anybody can go and watch one, and you don't have to have the whole, connection to the MCU with all the films to know what's going on in them. I've seen people go watch Avengers Endgame, and it was their first MCU film, and they completely understood what was happening and loved it and had like a wonderful experience, and were crying and everything during it. So I just think it's interesting. It was interesting, hearing that, that I felt like Shang-Chi was the kind of movie that anybody could watch and really kind of have a pretty good idea what was going on. But so Shang-Chi stars Simu Liu and Aquafina, obviously, and the whole initial part of the film is all about them, sort of an introduction. What did you guys think? Starting with you, Cyber, and then going to you, Taylor, and then Grayson, you can roll in the back. How did Aquafina do in this movie? Did she work for you in the film, Cyber?
I absolutely loved her. I think she's a great comedian. I've always enjoyed her in anything I've seen her in. She has a great show, Nora Queens, on Comedy Central, that she's absolutely freaking hilarious in. One of the first movies I ever saw her in was, of course, Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising. And so I was kind of familiar with her already. So I knew what she was about coming into the film. And I thought that her comedy element added some really great comedy to this film. I already knew coming into this film that it was going to have a lot of comedy elements because they picked her to be in the film anyways, because that's what she is. She's a comedian. But she also proved that she has a really good sincere side to her too as well in the film. I liked that she did have some serious elements to her along with the comedy throughout the film. So I really enjoyed her, and I thought she did a good job. I enjoyed her camaraderie between her and Simu. I thought they did a good job of playing off of each other. And I thought she was just a really great addition to the film, and I really enjoyed her in it.
Taylor?
Yeah, I agree. I think she did fine. I've seen her before in Crazy Rich Asians and some other stuff, so I knew she could act as well as do comedy, and I think she did. I think she did really good. I can see how that personality can rub some people the wrong way and be a little bit off-putting for some people, but it didn't bother me at all. I think she did well. I thought the comedy worked very well in the movie. I thought it was very organic. It wasn't forced. And yeah, overall, I think the character was fine.
Grayson, what did you think about Aquafina?
So the beginning part I liked a lot. And on the airplane especially, that was her best scene, in my opinion, when she was making fun of the flight attendant being like, oh, do you want the chicken or the beef? Oh, chicken. Oh, well, we don't have chicken. That part was good. But as it went on, she started to lose me a little more and more how they developed her character throughout it. So it started strong and then fell off for me personally.
And we're going to get into like the final segment of the film. I like to think that like this movie is kind of broken up into 3 parts. You know what I mean? You've got like the introduction part with Shang-Chi, with Simu Liu, and Aquafina, where we get their story in San Francisco. Then you've got like a middle section where the Mandarin grabs them, and we get the whole deal with them and the Mandarin and everything, and the Ben Kingsley meeting and everything and whatnot. The fake Mandarin. And then there's the third part when they go to the village. What is it? Is it Tao Lo?
Yeah, I think it was Tao Lo.
Yeah. And then there's the final battle and everything, obviously. So going right back at you, Taylor, out of the 3 segments or the 3 sections of the film, was there one part that you really enjoyed more than the other parts? Was there anything that didn't really fly for you?
I liked the whole movie. I liked how it was sort of a mashup. I mean, this was the martial arts movie of the MCU up to this point. But I liked how they kind of mashed up the different subgenres of martial arts movies. That first section you're talking about was very much of the modern Rush Hour, Romeo Must Die, modern type of action grounded martial arts movies. And then there was a little bit of the more traditional Shaw Brothers Kung Fu type movies. And then to the end part went into that other subgenre, which is based on fantasy and inspired by Chinese folklore with mythical creatures and magic. So it kind of went from, Rush Hour to, Shaw Brothers to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to, I can't even remember the names of some of those fantasy ones, White Worm and things like that. So I like the way they mashed it up. And like I said, and I can see how the change in tone and the change in style could be jarring for the audience. But it worked for me. I liked the whole thing all through. Grayson,
Was there any one part of the movie that kind of didn't work for you, or did you feel like it all worked together well? Or
one thing that stood out to me, they do it in every movie, it seems, where there's a fighter. He's like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do about 25 push-ups every morning, and I'm going to be absolutely shredded. I don't like no other working out at all, just a couple of push-ups, and I'm going to be ripped.
It's
for the rest of it.
He does other stuff too.
It seems like I didn't see him even, he doesn't have a gym membership.
That's a good point. I mean, he does look really freaking ripped and jacked.
Oh, yeah, he's jacked.
Without question.
The whole time.
So, as far as the breaking the film down into again, 3 segments, Grayson, was there one segment of the film? Was it the introduction? That you liked?
The intro was my favorite part because the best fighting scene was in the beginning in the bus. That was the best fighting scene to me. And then once it got to more of the floating around, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff, I was like, all right. And then by the end, I was like, this is nonsense to me. But I was like, this movie.
That's why I love having you on here, man. I like to hear that opinion.
And I was like, this movie, it's like they couldn't have shoehorned another BMW in there if they tried, dude. Any opportunity they had to stick a BMW in there, I was like, all right, they obviously sponsored this movie.
Cyber, what do you think, man? Was there any certain part of the film that stood out to you specifically, or did you just like the whole thing?
I enjoyed the whole entire film. I thought every aspect of the film was really well done. I thought they all integrated very well with each other. I thought the whole beginning sequence where it showed Wen Wu, aka Mandarin, basically kind of that first 1,000 years of his life, kind of showing you what he went through, getting the 10 rings and so forth and stuff like that, leading to him leaving to be with his kid's mother, and so forth. I thought that was really well done. I liked the whole aspect of that. I loved the, scenery and all that kind of stuff. The bus fight sequence was amazing. That was really intense. I thought every aspect of that was really well done. Even the CGI work in that scene was very flawless too, as well. And I was really impressed with how that looked. Sometimes some of those scenes, sometimes you can really tell they're very CGI. This one, they did a really good job of incorporating it all together and making it very smooth looking, which I was really impressed with. I love when they go to the den over in Asia and to find his sister. And we get the brief but small part of seeing the Abomination and Wong fight each other. That was really super awesome. But then kind of seeing Wong kind of like bringing him with him through the portal, that was really cool too. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that takes Abomination a little bit. I love that they remade Abomination look more like his character from the comic books. But I mean, every aspect was really well done throughout the whole film. I thought there was a lot of great fight sequences throughout the whole film. I absolutely loved the dragon at the end of the film that helps them in fighting against the bad creatures. That dragon was just like so super cool looking. I really enjoyed that too. So I thought all in a whole, each segment was really well done.
Okay, guys. Jumping around a little bit. When it comes to the post-credit scenes, that Kloss didn't really know what was going on and who the characters were and everything, was there anything that stood out to you with the post-credit scenes? Taylor and Cyber. Taylor, you first, and then Grayson. I'm going to frame the question a little bit for you differently, but Taylor, was there anything about anything theory wise or anything that pops in your head based off of that stuff?
Yeah, and I don't even remember which one came first, but the one that showed his sister now had taken over the 10 Rings organization and was expanding it. That of course raised all kinds of questions as what is her intention? Does she want to get control of the actual 10 Rings for herself someday and wield that power with her new army that she's built? Or is she planning to use it as a force for good? Who knows? So that's just a big cliffhanger right there. And as far as the other one goes, that was the perfect segue into the greater MCU, where he's talking to Wong and Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner, and they're examining the rings, and they find out that little tidbit about it's sending a signal somewhere. That's obviously going to get fleshed out in future movies. But the part where Bruce Banner says, welcome to the zoo, and to both of you, so you guys are now part of this superpowered universe, comes with responsibilities, but it also makes you part of the team. So all in all, I thought they were both really good and really set up the future.
Excellent. Did you what do you think, Taylor? Could they have done more with the sister character? I forgot how you pronounce her name. Ji Ling.
Yeah.
Do you think they could have evolved that character maybe more in the movie than they did?
Well, I tell you, I was really surprised that she was in it as much as she was, just based off of the trailers. All I had seen was the 2 trailers. I literally thought she was going to have one cage fight, and that was going to be her whole contribution to the movie. Maybe she would tell them, yes, you can find him in the Castle of Doom or whatever. She would just be some little thing like that. But she came on and she became, she actually teamed up with him, became a big part of the team, became a huge contributor to the whole effort. As far as developing her personal, well, we did see a little bit of her, what she went through growing up, and then how she broke away on her own and created her own little empire and her own, Kumite bar, club, whatever you want to call that thing, with monsters fighting each other. So we found out quite a bit about her, actually. So I think they did it all right. I mean, there's always pluses and minuses. You always have to decide what's going to be in the movie and what's not going to be in the movie. And I'm never going to second guess Marvel because they seem to do a really darn good job. So I think they handled her just about right.
Cyber, same 2 questions to you.
So, to start off, first talking about the sister, I thought she had great screen time in the movie, simply for the fact that the movie is not about her; it's about Shang-Chi. So he is the main central character. So having even as much time as she did in the film, I think was very, very kind of them of what they kept in the film. Even if there was more that they filmed, that they took out, or whatever, I thought they did a good job of giving her as much time as they did to kind of flush out a little bit about that character a little bit, along with, Shang-Chi's origin. And I thought, just like Taylor was saying, we saw a background about her, her life, a little bit about her not being able to train with the guys. We saw that, she, wanted to start her, do her own thing. And we don't know if she's going to be doing the, basically the 10 rings herself. We have no idea. Like, we know that she's going in that direction, but we don't know exactly how far she's going to go with it. And I think that's really cool. And I just really enjoyed her whole persona in the film, and I liked her character, and I liked how they had her in it along with the other characters and gave us this kind of a little dynamic going on with the film. And so, her building that whole entire, fighting ring shows that she has what she needs to do to be able to run the 10 rings. So that also, I think, is kind of a sign of that she's going towards that direction too as well. But with the post-credit scenes, I absolutely loved the post-credit scene with Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner. I thought it was interesting that Bruce is back in human form, but still wearing the sling. I'm not sure how long it's supposed to be after Endgame that this is supposed to be going on, because I don't recall them mentioning that. But I think that's interesting. I love the fact that Captain Marvel has the long hair again versus that stupid-ass short hairdo they gave her in Endgame. Ugh. And so that was a lot. That was very appeasing to the eyes, and that. But that whole concept of that, them, Shang-Chi and Aquafina becoming a part of that group of people, Bruce basically welcomed them to the fold. I thought was super cool, and just like Taylor said, a great introduction to them to the further parts of the MCU. And then just the whole camaraderie that they had with, Wong. I love that they gave him even more stuff to work with, and gave him more scenes, and he was a part of it, which I think is really cool, which also I think is a big segue into Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness too as well. So I think that's really cool that they're doing that and giving us that, option and so forth. But pretty much I think I touched a little bit on the other scene, showing the sister basically taking over the 10 rings and so forth. Once again, who knows what direction it's going in. It'll be interesting to see what it does, but it definitely is a segue into the future, into the MCU, just like Taylor was saying. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else her capacity is. I saw an article recently about her character, and she was talking about how her future in the MCU is, and she signed on for several films. So we will be seeing the 10 rings again. Also, I love the fact that we actually got to see the real 10 Rings flag in this film versus the one we saw in Iron Man 3. They actually had the traditional, actual Asian language and the actual symbols and stuff for the 10 Rings. So that was a lot more accurate, too, as well.
And what is Aquafina? But what is Aquafina's role, though? Like, at the point that we're saying that, like, they're both being welcomed in by Carol Danvers and Wong and everything and whatnot. Like, what is Aquafina going to be other than Shang-Chi's buddy? Like, do you see her like actually participating as like an Avenger?
I don't see why she couldn't be.
What would be like? Would she be like a Shuri or something? Like, what would she be?
Exactly.
Like, okay.
She would be like a sidekick. She would be like a Happy Hogan. She would be like any of those type of characters. I mean, you can never say never because anything is possible in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. She could be like a friend of the Avengers. I don't think she's gonna be. I don't know if she'd be like a full-fledged Avenger because she's not like a superhero. But, anyways, Grayson. So, like I was saying, when it comes to the post-credit scenes, the characters that you saw that you didn't know who they were, one of them was Wong, who is like Doctor Strange's buddy. He's like a sorcerer. And then the chick was Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers, Brie Larson, and the other guy was Bruce Banner, the Hulk, but in his human form. So that's what was going on. What did you think? Not knowing who, like, who those people were and everything. What did you think of those end credit sequences, Grayson? Did you just not?
I mean, I was like, I just kind of assumed they were the Avengers. I was like, these are probably some of the Avengers here, and I knew the one guy was Mark Ruffalo. I didn't know who he played, though. I was like, well, that's Mark Ruffalo. He's probably in there. So I just was like, I guess he's part of the team now. He's going to go fight some bad guys. And then I figure, this is my prediction, what they're going to do with his sister's character. I think there's going to be a scene, Rambo 3 style, where they're like, oh, we're trapped. We're surrounded. And then she's just going to come out of there with her monster army and just save the day last minute. And they'll be like, oh, here's the monsters to help. And then they'll flank them or whatever. And then she'll help out there. That's how I see that playing out.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if when they do Shang-Chi 2, she might actually end up becoming the villain or one of the villains of the film. And they might actually follow the comic book storyline with Shang-Chi and actually have her be like, against Shang-Chi, you know what I mean? Like, and they have to kind of square off at the end. Like, I don't think that fight that we saw, that little tiny fight that we saw between her and him in Macaw, I don't think that that's the last time we're going to see Shang-Chi fight his sister, or and I don't think that was her like on top of her game either. So moving on, so basically, when it comes to, what your likes and I guess your dislikes were for the film, I'm sure that I know that all of you guys have a lot of more positives than negatives, as far as the film goes, just like I do. But Taylor, what were your likes and your dislikes with Shang-Chi?
My likes were almost everything. I would have to really think to come up with a dislike, and any dislikes I have are really small and not really relevant to the overall enjoyment of the movie. The fighting choreography was very good. It was very much the traditional kung fu movie style of fighting for the most part, and that's not my favorite type of fight choreography, but it was really well executed and looked really good on screen. So I really didn't have any issues with that. I didn't like the one line, and I wasn't even going to bring this up, but I didn't like the one line where the Mandarin, and I'm going to keep calling him the Mandarin, says, "Don't call me the Mandarin." Okay. I would have much preferred if he just said, I've had many names over the centuries, and Mandarin was one of them, but I'm Wenwu or something, as opposed to that joke about it's an orange or it's a chicken dish. It's also the language you're speaking through half the movie, so it's more than just that. So I don't see anything wrong with the name the Mandarin. Being a comic book traditionalist, I didn't like that particular line, but again, that's very, very minor. Overall, I really, really liked the movie.
Grayson, your likes and dislikes?
Dude, I hated the bow and arrow stuff in this movie.
Me too.
I thought it was absolute nonsense. This girl's like, oh, I guess I'll pick up a bow for the first time. And those bows that they're using have like 100-pound draw on them, those recurve bows. And then she's just slinging that thing, no problem. And then seemingly can, after just a day of training, can shoot 600 yards farther than this bow can even shoot through the air and hit like a snipe shot that none of these other trained people could. I was like, I guess they had to shoehorn her in there for something. So I guess if she's going to be an Avenger, she's going to be like a bow person at this point. If she's so good with it that she can snipe like she's got a gun.
Well,
that part was pretty ridiculous. One thing
Avengers have too many bow people already at this point.
They have a bow person, or they have more than one bow person.
I mean,
Hawkeye.
I haven't watched the Hawkeye trailer. I'm saving it for my reaction, and then I want to play it on the next week's show, Cyber, so we can watch it and react to it. I haven't seen it yet, but Kloss, we actually have two current archers in the MCU right now.
Is there a sniper, or like they don't want to get these people guns? They're like, no, old technology only.
It's very rare that you see any of the Avengers using guns at this point. What did you like about Shang-Chi?
Oh, dude, the first third of it was great. I love the first third. Especially the only part I didn't like in the bus scene was when that guy kind of gets on top of him. And they do this in like every movie, and I don't know why. It'll never work in a fight where someone gets on top and you're like, oh, let me just muster the strength to throw him off of me, no problem, and just yeet the guy across the bus. That never makes any sense, but they put that in every movie, so I can't be mad at just this one. The car chase scenes were awesome. I liked all the car chase scenes, especially when they did it from the top over. So a lot of car chase scenes, you can't tell what's going on. These ones, I thought you could really see what was going on.
Good point. They did a really great job. That's really great. I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's something I noticed too when I watched the movie, that the car chase scenes were really, really decent. They really were. And they had some really nice looking cars too.
Yeah, all the BMWs.
Yeah, they had some nice looking cars. What about like Lord Deathman is in the private chat of like the show, and he just mentioned that there wasn't enough Death Dealer. What did you think, Kloss? Personally, not having the background of the characters, but seeing that ninja guy, Death Dealer, that fights Shang-Chi with the knives and everything, like, and then having him just like die like a little while.
Yeah, that
later,
was pretty anticlimactic. I was like, oh, this, especially when he was like training him and everything. I was like, oh, this guy's gonna come into play. He's gonna come into play, and then he just got schwacked by some like brain eating thing immediately, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's it for that guy then. So.
Well, there you go. Cyber, what do you think, man? I mean, I'm not trying to poke holes in Shang-Chi or whatever, or try to like overemphasize a small thing or something like that. I'm not trying to do that. But what do you think about? It would have been nice if they would have had more Death Dealer in the film?
I mean, any character, there's certain characters people just want more of in a film, no matter what movie it is. Doesn't matter what cinema, what production company put out, there's always going to be those types of characters. Death Dealer, I thought, had an adequate amount of time on the screen. I'm not sure if he's completely dead. I don't know if this is the last time we're going to see him, because you know how the MCU is. They could bring people back from the dead, so we never know. They could, do a multiverse thing. He could come back. You never know. But at the same time, I thought that him being a part of Shang-Chi's past, it's supposed to be kept in the past. And so I think that's why they kind of did what they did with him at the end of the film, where they just kind of got rid of him, because that's a part of Shang-Chi's past. He's trying to move forward and to move on. So I think that's a reason why they did that for the film. I think that the Death Dealer was a great character. I enjoyed him, what I saw of him. It would have been nice to see him do a little bit more action, most definitely. But what he was in the film, I thought was fine. I didn't see anything wrong with it, and I was happy with what they gave of him.
Taylor, I'll be honest with you. My favorite fight scene from the movie is the Death Dealer versus Shang-Chi fight scene. That I thought that was the best fight scene out of in the whole movie. Personally, when they were fighting with the knives and everything, I love knife fighting. I love seeing somebody fight another person with a knife and like defend themselves without any weapon or whatever. I love seeing that. But Taylor, again, if you could change it, do you think maybe from a fan service standpoint, it would have been nice if we would have got more Death Dealer?
I mean, sure. Just like Cyber said, there's always, there's always something else you could do. You could always do something more with this character. I think what they did with him was great. I thought that was a great fight scene. I thought the scenes of him training, as a child, again, like Cyber said, how he was a part of Shang-Chi's past was important and worked. Sure, if I was in charge, I wouldn't have any discipline and I'd make a 5-hour movie like Zack Snyder or something and put everything in there. But, it worked the way it did. And I think it's okay that he died because somebody had to. Otherwise the whole battle would have been, like a pie fight. No one actually died, So someone had to die, and he's a tough guy, and he died. And they chose, and I'm sure we're going to see this guy again. But the makers of this movie obviously consciously chose that machete arm guy to be the one who lives and moves on, and is now the right hand man of the sister in the 10 Rings. And I'm not sure why, but I know we're going to find out later. So like I said, I think that's a great character. Marvel has done this with a lot of the more minor villains. They did it with Crossbones and Taskmaster and Claw. They all had their moment in the sun and then died. Not everyone can live. And Marvel has so many characters. They can't make all of them the main characters. So I'm just glad that they're utilizing them as much as they are.
Well, I think it's definitely a learning experience, because based off of the trailers, my interpretation going into the film was, my expectation was that we were going to see more of like the 10 Rings and more of like them showing the training, with Shang-Chi when he was a child and stuff like that, that kind of stuff. I kind of thought they were going to go more in that direction, and of course, I also very much believed the leaks and everything about how there was going to be like a kung fu tournament in the film, which never materialized. But I guess, it's a learning experience that you can't believe all the stuff that you hear about these films. But I felt like, for me, Michelle Yeoh was like my MVP for the film. I thought she was excellent in her role. For you guys, who stood out to you? Who was like your MVP in the movie? I'll go to you first, Cyber.
Simu Liu was my MVP of the film, because I wasn't I had never seen him in anything else before. I knew that he had been in a Canadian show called Kim's Convenience, where he played a main character for 5 years. I knew that he was an extra in the film Pacific Rim back in 2013. But other than that, I had not ever seen him in anything. And so I wasn't familiar with any of his work. So going into this, I wasn't too sure, how's this guy going to do as the main lead character of this, of this film? And, we can always say, Marvel knows what they're doing and they always cast really well, most definitely. So, I had no really worries there, but at the same time, still, it's like, we can talk about Brie Larson a little bit here. She wasn't really the greatest choice, but she still delivered in the movie a little bit. But anyways, Simu Liu, I just think he was fantastic. I mean, from the get-go, as soon as he popped on the screen, his chemistry with Aquafina was on point, amazing. And then just the way he produced his dialogue, the way he fought, especially in that bus sequence, was just so amazing and totally made me think of the traditional old school Jackie Chan, drunken master type of films. And he was so good at it. And he really delivered his character. So he was really the big stand-up for him, because from everything that he did throughout the film, his comedy, his acting, and his stunt work, his fighting was just really well done. So he was my MVP. He was what I was most impressed with throughout the whole film.
Okay, Grayson, who's your MVP?
Dude, definitely the dad. I don't know his name. Did you say his name was Chode?
Tony Leung.
Yeah, the guy from Internal Affairs. That guy killed it, dude. Because, especially when he was on his rampage, and he's like, "Oh, these are the guys that killed my wife. I'm gonna destroy everyone they know." That guy was killing it, and he was willing to go down with the ship too. And I thought he was the best actor of everybody on there too. It was intense. Every time that he talked, it stole the scene, in my opinion.
Yeah, most definitely. Taylor, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, first of all, I think the whole cast was really, really good. I think they all stepped up and really contributed a lot, and they all brought a lot of, depth and reality to all their characters, even the smaller parts. But I agree with our buddy here, Grayson, that Tony Long,
Yeah.
he was fantastic. I mean, this movie was largely his story, of his life as a conqueror and a warlord, finding the dream girl in the magical land, becoming a father, playing Dance Dance Revolution with his kids. Wife gets killed, goes back to the dark side, slices up those guys, starts training his son brutally into to be a killer and all that, and then is driven by the soul sucker monster trickery to believe his wife is alive, and goes to conquer Tao Lo and get his wife out of that cave, and gives his life trying to do that. I mean, what an arc, what a story right there. And he's the villain. He's not even the star of the movie, and he executed it brilliantly. I mean, great actor, the intensity, the delivery of the lines, and this of course goes to the writing also, but not too many lines. He was relatively quiet guy. He wasn't making a lot of James Bond villain speeches about his plan and what he's going to do, how he's going to execute everything. No, he just went about his business, and he did it. So yeah, he's the MVP definitely.
Yeah, there's no question that, like, I don't know if it's Tony Long himself or the acting in the movie, but there's this clear indication that him having the rings makes him like extremely confident, like wherever he goes. You know what I mean? Like, which I don't blame him. But what do you guys think about how the 10 rings looked visually? Grayson, what did you think about how they looked when they were actually put in play and the Mandarin used them, and in the final battle scenes when Shang-Chi fought the Mandarin, what did you think about how the rings looked?
I feel like they're kind of underpowered, honestly. I was like, all these things do are just like shoot energy at people. Like, I don't know. It just seems like there's better superpowers out there. And Tao Lo sounds like a great dish. Like, I feel like if somebody's like, you want to get some Tao Lo, I'd be like, oh, that sounds good. I could go for some Tao Lo.
That's true. What do you think? What do you think, Cyber?
I liked them visually. I thought they were really good. I liked how when Shang-Chi got them, they changed colors. I thought that was really cool. I think there was a good point in the end credit scene that Wong was saying that these rings are much older than the Mandarin is, that there's more to them than that. So I think that's the reason why it didn't show much power from them in this film, because there's a lot more to develop with them. I honestly think that the 10 rings are going to become like the Infinity Stones in this next couple phases of the MCU. I think they're kind of going to become the next big threat that if somebody gets them that has enough power could, use them for, world domination. So I think we're going to be seeing more about that and seeing what they actually truly can do. Because I think, the Mandarin only knew so much of how to use them. He only had them for 1,000 years. These things are much older than 1,000 years. And who knows? They could be alien technology. They could be, maybe they're from the Eternals. Who knows? Maybe there's something that is even more grander than that. So we don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and see where it comes about, what exactly the rings really are.
Taylor, what did you think about the 10 rings?
Well, when I saw the trailers, being a Silver Age Comics guy, I was a little disappointed because I'm used to the actual 10 rings with all the different powers that the Silver Age Mandarin used to use.
Me too.
But I was completely wrong. The way they used them in this movie was brilliant, and it was extremely cinematic, as opposed to what the rings on the fingers would not have been cinematic like this. I was while I was watching the movie, I was trying to count how many different ways they used these things, and they used them. They emit energy. They use them as like an extension of the fist. They put them in a chain and use it like a whip. They use them as a shield. They used them as a buzzsaw to cut the chest, the heart out of the soul sucker dragon. There was just dozens of different ways that they utilize these things. And again, it's all very cinematic. It's all seemed to be kind of, inspired by a lot of the traditional Chinese Kung Fu, different types of weapons that you see in the Chinese Kung Fu movies. I don't know if they're actually real or not. But I thought it was brilliant. I thought it looked great on screen. I thought it was really cool how many different things they could do with these 10 circles, which is what they were, 10 circles of metal, and yet they were able to do all these different things, and it looked really great. So I was very happy with the 10 rings.
Yeah, I mean, I was too, and I think you're right. I think that when you really think about it realistically,
and you could fly with them. I left that part out.
Yeah, if they had tried to pull off the comic book accurate 10 rings in the movie, it would not have worked. It wouldn't have. It would look stupid as hell.
Right. And he threw them like boomerangs, then they would come back to him. It was just incredible how much stuff they did.
Yeah, no, it was great. It really was. And I'll tell you, Grayson, honestly, I have some of the same complaints with the film that you do. The bow and arrow thing with Aquafina, I think, is like ridiculous. I don't know if they're trying to say that maybe because of like her Chinese heritage, maybe, or something, she has these latent abilities or something like that. I don't know, but like one thing I will say about Aquafina is that I think that you got to take into consideration that they obviously brought her in as like a buffer to work with Simu Liu, they brought her in for comedic reasons. Go ahead, Taylor.
I just want to say, writing 101, the reason Batman has Robin is because the hero has to have someone to talk to. All right. And they chose her because, the buddy cop thing, the chemistry, she has the sense of humor and the observations. She's grounded. She's very street, very real world grounded. As all this magical stuff is going on, she keeps it grounded. Plus, again, as he goes through all of his journeys and challenges, he has to have someone to talk to for exposition purposes.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead, Grayson. No, go ahead.
I almost wish they would have had her be more like in awe of what was going on, because she seemed to just take it in stride. Like, imagine you are in San Francisco and 3 days later you're in a magical forest. I would be like, what on earth is this? This is crazy. But only for like a second she was stunned in like the bus scene. That was about it. And then after that, she just seemed to be like, okay, I guess everything's ridiculous now. There's animals without faces.
Hey,
and I'm not surprised at all.
She's about it, man. She's about it. That's Aquafina, baby.
Well,
yeah, the dialogue between the two was great, though.
Yeah.
This is the MCU, so it's not the weirdest thing that's happened. Like every night on the news, you're seeing Hulk and
okay.
alien invasions and Ant-Man. Ant-Man was Giant Man, came out of San Francisco Bay in one movie, so it's not that unusual in San Francisco these days.
Oh, okay. So in this world, people are just kind of used to craziness. They know like the Hulk and that.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I had one question. With the original 10 rings, I tried looking it up, but I just got some pictures. What all did they do? Like, did they have some extra?
Each one had an individual power. Each ring had an individual power.
Each ring had a different power. One was like freezing. One was like heat. One was like could move objects.
Magnetism. Yeah. Energy blast.
Yeah, like some of them have like mind control and stuff on this picture.
Yeah. There's like gods that are trapped in each ring. Like
okay.
From the but I mean it's a long story. It has to do with the McLuhans, and we might get the McLuhans later on. We'll have to see what happens with the post-credit scenes. You never know. That for me, the post-credit scenes really helped me a lot with the film, because I felt like one of the things I didn't like about it was the lack of the MCU connections in the film. And so for me, I felt like they really paid that off with the end credit scenes, both in both of them, because it'll be interesting to see where the sister goes with the 10 rings. And then of course, it'll be interesting to see where this whole cosmic, part pops in. But basically, you know, as far as the Shang-Chi film goes overall, as like, I guess probably like your last remarks, basically, like to kind of wrap things up, starting off with you, Cyber, is there anything that you want to point out specifically about the film that we didn't talk about or anything like that?
I would love to talk about Trevor Slattery. Oh my God. He was absolutely freaking hilarious bringing him back. And the fact that they brought him in and he mentions, he says, yes, I'm an actor. That was freaking hilarious. And I absolutely love that they brought him back and had him like, he's able to speak to the no-headed creature and he helps them get to Tao Lo. And oh my God, that was like freaking amazing. Because I never had problems with him in Iron Man 3. I thought he was hilarious in Iron Man 3. I absolutely loved that they had it where he was this actor. He was pretending to be the Mandarin. I like that concept. I thought that was really funny, you know, because I know a lot of people were up in arms about him not actually being the real Mandarin. And I absolutely loved that he got brought back in this and pretending to be, you know, him being, you know, mugged, basically being, you know, stolen from prison by the actual real Mandarin. And then he's actually there, like, doing his thing and stuff like that. It was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, also, I mean, you know, Abomination being a part in that one scene, getting to fight Wong and Wong taking him back, basically, which we don't know why he was going back with him into the portal wherever he was going, but still, that was just great to see that fight sequence with them. And I thought that was really cool that even though it wasn't a huge scene, it still was just nice to actually see the Abomination again since the Incredible Hulk. And it just was a real joy to see that. I mean, there was so many great things about this movie. And, you know, like I said, I can't say enough about the dragon at the end. The dragon that ends up saving Shang-Chi in the water, brings him up and then fights the giant, you know, master creature thing. I forget what they were called. But still, like, I thought that dragon looked so cool and just like kicked butt. And I just really enjoyed the whole entire movie.
Grayson,
Yes, sir.
last thoughts, last comments on Shang-Chi.
You know, I kind of wish they would have killed one more good character, and that last part, give it a little more weight. But one thing that I did like is I was afraid that after they killed the big monster, that all the souls were going to like go back into the people, and they were going to get back up, and none of it really mattered. And I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad that some people stayed dead because it kind of gave some weight to what was going on in a much better way than just being like, oh, and everything's okay now. But yeah, they could have killed off Ben Kingsley. I wouldn't have mind that. I was just reading here that the guy, because I looked up Abomination. I was like, who was that? I guess Abomination was played by Tim Roth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I don't even know. That's like, they had to probably have paid him and to do like 2 words. I don't know throughout the whole movie. So he's a great actor.
If you could make some money like that, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah. If I'm Tim Roth, I'm taking that role 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. No, Grayson, believe it or not, Tim Roth, there was in the Incredible Hulk that came out years and years ago. You actually see Tim Roth and then he becomes the Abomination. You should check it out. It's the Incredible
That's
Hulk.
the one with Eric Bana?
That's the review that you watched from us.
Yeah.
No,
Not the Eric Bana one. Edward Norton.
Yeah, Edward Norton.
Oh, the Ed Norton one.
And that's when Hulk and Abomination square off.
Okay.
But Taylor, last thoughts on Shang-Chi?
Well, I'm with Cyber. I mean, they very could have easily done it in a different way and not used Trevor, but I'm glad they did. You know, Ben Kingsley is an incredible actor. The character is very amusing, so I was perfectly happy with that. And I mean, this is such a rich movie, and like you said at the beginning, you know, there's these 3 acts that are all very different from each other. We've hardly even talked about Tao Lo and the magical lions and the foxes with many tails that look like Pokemon, and the dragon. Cyber talked a little bit about the dragon and the soul sucker and the demons and the dragon armor, the dragon scale armor that they were using, and then the battle between the 10 Rings and the Tao Lo folks, and the incredible Michelle Yeoh teaching Shang-Chi some more fighting techniques to use against his father. I mean, it was just so much happening in a relatively short movie, which just goes to the writing and the editing and the directing of the movie and how great it was. But we haven't even had time to talk about the whole fantasy aspect of this movie, which turned out to be very much a fantasy.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Taylor. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that it's important that we pay service to, before we rush out of this Shang-Chi review. I think it's important that we pay service to that fantasy angle, like you said, and the whole like deal where the Mandarin fights his wife and everything, and they have that fight where they're flirting with each other and everything and whatnot. Like that was really great. I loved that. Like I thought that was really like cool, and I loved the way it looked. I loved Tony Leung, like his acting during all that, like his facial expressions and everything. Like during their fight, she was able to control the 10 rings. Like which is kind of crazy. And I honestly, the actress that plays Tony Leung's dead wife or whatever, she got a lot of screen time. She was she was a big part of the story. So I mean, Taylor, anything on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, it added so much to the Mandarin's story, his whole arc. I mean, we basically saw his whole life in this movie in a nutshell. And the scenes that you're talking about, the fight with the wife, and again, the scene with Michelle Yeoh doing the, I don't know how much fantasy Chinese folklore martial arts movies you guys have seen, but I've seen quite a few of them. And that thing where they move and the leaves blow all around them like that, that's very much a trope in those type of movies. But it was done, again, done here probably as an homage and done very well. And, of course, she was the sister of the Mandarin's wife, so she had a very personal stake in it. And I've been a Michelle Yeoh fan for years. Before some of you guys were born, I was a fan of Michelle Yeoh, renting VHS tapes from Blockbuster, Michelle Yeoh movies from Hong Kong. So, yeah, I thought it was really good. And I thought the world building in Ta Lo was great. Now, I have seen some people online complain a little bit about it, that it seemed a little bit too small. And that, the battle wasn't big enough, but you can't do a Lord of the Rings battle in every movie. You have to have some limits, especially in a origin story like this that's going to build the bigger stuff later. So yeah, I was happy with it.
I didn't know she was in Tomorrow Never Dies. I didn't realize that.
Yes, she's a Bond girl.
Was she on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No.
Okay, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Ming-Na Wen is on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, okay.
She's a star in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, she plays Agent May.
So she was in a Bond movie. Did she get naked?
No.
Oh man, that's too bad.
But she was a Bond girl, and she was cool.
Lord Deathman knows what I'm talking about.
She's done a lot of movies with Jackie Chan back in the day too, and a bunch with Sam Rothrock too. I know that I've seen some of the stuff that she did with Jackie Chan like back in the day. Okay, well, listen, we're going to basically wrap this Shang-Chi review up. And
I got a quick Jackie Chan question. What was that Jackie Chan movie where he's like driving the car down all the roofs? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh.
It was a good one. I saw it recently. It was awesome. I can't remember the name to look at.
Is that one of the Hong Kong ones? Was it like Super Cop? Or I'm trying to think what was the name of that other one.
No clue, Kloss. We got nothing for you on that, brother.
Let's see.
Yeah, how many movies he's been in that he's drove across buildings in movies?
Do you want to plug?
You got to give something more specific, brother.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyways,
you want to plug the podcast? You want to talk about your show and plug the podcast and everything before we let you go, brother?
Yeah, I got B is for Brutal. If you guys like MMA, UFC, boxing, whatever, I talk about it all on there. And then I've got the Kloss Show, and it's not for the faint of heart. So if you're easily offended, do not come to the Kloss Show. Or if you want to be a hater, come on over and leave some hateful comments. We're always welcome to that. But thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot more than I thought there was to this superhero movie, which was very interesting. I was like, dang, this shit's deep.
No, it was interesting having your perspective, based off of your experience with the MCU and everything. I think it was a very valid thing to have you be a part of the show. But we'll have you on again soon, hopefully. And I'll be on the Kloss Show hopefully soon too, and we'll talk some shit on there.
Oh yeah.
Get into some R-rated, X-rated type material.
Oh yeah.
But all right, I'll talk to you later, Kloss.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, so Taylor, Cyber, what if episode 6? And I'm really just kind of like gonna play it loose with this as far as how we're gonna, go around the table on this episode. I'm just gonna basically have some really short, concise, very direct, simple kind of like topics and questions for you guys. But just to like set things up, in what if episode 6, the whole premise of it, or the title is, what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? And it's a very simple, it's not a complicated story with the episode. It's essentially Killmonger shows up and saves Tony from the 10 rings. And instead of becoming Iron Man, Tony ends up becoming almost like partners with Killmonger. And at the same time, Killmonger is like doing all this to use Tony, and he has the same motivations he had in Black Panther, basically similar, and so basically, going to you, Taylor, what for you were kind of like what for you were the highlights of the episode? What were like the things that you didn't really care for? What were your overall thoughts on the whole episode?
I liked it. It was a good, solid episode. It was well written. I liked that they had a whole lot of MCU characters. Like seeing Claw again. It was, there's nothing I disliked about it. There's just nothing special about it, in my opinion. It was a pretty standard. What if? Here's another story that set in the MCU. If something had happened completely differently, it could have unfolded this way, and it was executed just fine. It was entertaining. But that's really all I can say about it. Like I said, it was well written. I love the animation in this show. It was fine. I loved seeing all the different characters, General Ross and Pepper Potts and everybody in Wakanda, Claw, and seeing how some of the locations that we'd seen before in the movies showing up again here, I thought was really good. But like I said, it was nothing mind blowing about it. Like the Doctor Strange one, I think was a little bit more mind blowing than this. The Captain Carter one, I thought, had some really cool aspects to it more than this one. But overall, solid episode. No complaints.
Cyber.
This was my least favorite of all the episodes so far. I actually was bored by this, actually. I didn't think it was entertaining. I mean, there was a few entertaining things, like bringing back Claw. I loved the fact that they brought him back and that Andy Serkis did his voice again. I thought that it was interesting that they, but pretty much like it was only Michael B. Jordan, Andy Serkis, and I think Angela Bassett that did the voices again for the characters.
I think they had
everyone else was.
Back. I think
no.
They had pretty much. I think they had almost everybody back, didn't they?
No.
Oh no.
No.
Well,
no.
It wasn't Robert Downey Jr. I know that, but I'm not sure who else wasn't real.
That's true.
Pepper Potts wasn't.
You're right.
Happy.
I could definitely tell that was not Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, I think Happy Hogan was John Favreau.
Yes.
Still. And like I said, Michael B. Jordan did Killmonger again. And Don Cheadle was Rhodes. But pretty much everyone else was not who played the original characters in the film. But yeah, overall, I thought it was the worst episode of What If so far. I just didn't care for it. And I even think like I said, I got bored by it. I was literally sitting here watching and going, what did I just watch? And, because going from the zombie one and even the Doctor Strange one, it blew me how they went from a total 100 to all of a sudden kind of like a 62, 63, type of deal.
It is surprising, Cyber, because we were just talking about this on the Podcast of Champions the other day. It really felt like there was momentum going with the series. Like that's how I saw it. I was expecting that we were going to be seeing like the best of the episodes, like towards the end of the episodes. So I was kind of surprised. This was kind of a dud for me too. I was kind of like not impressed by the story. I mean, I knew what was going on immediately. Like, it was a very simple, it was well written. The animation was great. Like, it was, I mean, I think Taylor's correct with his observations, but it's a very simplistic episode, very simple. And I will point out that from an animation standpoint, I felt like that battle in Wakanda with those whatever you want to call them, robots or whatever, that was good. I really enjoyed that. I liked that battle with the Dora Milaje and everything. I thought they did that really well. And again, I'm no animation expert, but I felt like the animation in this episode was really good. I thought it was really solid. Not enough T'Challa. You know what I mean? Like I think that was Chadwick Boseman, but he was only in the episode for like a minute and a half, and then he was dead. Yeah. So I mean, what do you think, Taylor?
Chadwick Boseman did come back for like another minute in the spirit realm scene, whatever that is.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Black Panther stuff. But yeah, you're right. He was not in it very much. And yeah, I mean, I agree. It was not the best episode so far. And I of course, we all knew that Killmonger's a villain, so we knew he was going to do something evil. It was pretty easy to piece together what he was trying to do. We knew he wanted to be king of Wakanda.
Yeah, I was confused at first, Taylor. Honestly, when the episode first started, not knowing what the premise was, I was thinking, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if he had already hooked up with Wakanda at that point, and then like they sent him there to like save Tony, or what was going on.
Right.
I mean, so
apparently he had he like you said he had somehow intercepted the conversations between Stain and the 10 Rings guys, and hatched himself a plan to save Tony Stark, to get on the inside. The only thing that surprised me, what I thought was going to happen when the robot army came inside and got shut off, and he turned them back on again. His plan was to defeat them and become the hero of Wakanda. I thought his plan was going to use them to conquer Wakanda.
Me too.
And install himself on the throne that way, but instead he did it through trickery. That was the only thing that really surprised me.
Yeah. What do you think, Cyber? I mean, I did enjoy seeing all the different characters. It was great seeing Shuri. I mean, I almost would have liked it better if they hadn't had that part at the end with Shuri and Pepper Potts, and Killmonger would have been okay. Like, he would have stayed as the Black Panther, just because like that, I would have liked that trope, like the bad guy winning. You know what I mean? Like, would have been okay with me. But what do you think, Cyber?
I mean, sometimes you want the bad guy to win. Yeah, I get that. But in this situation, no, because I'm not a big fan of Killmonger. I didn't care too much for Michael B. Jordan's interpretation of the character. I think we could have seen somebody else portray the character, and it would have been better. Because Michael B. Jordan, I feel he's an overrated actor. I honestly don't think he's as great as everyone makes him out to be. I think he's okay, but like, I mean, even his Creed performance, it's mediocre, But at the same time, though, I think that with this episode, once again, I can't say enough. I just found it so boring, and I just found, I mean, yes, there was a lot of the end sequence where they were better than the robots and stuff like that. It was okay. It was pretty cool, and the animation was really well done, and the writing was really well done. And I love that we got a few more like big pictures of the Watcher himself as he's talking. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. But all in all, I just thought it was, it wasn't a great episode, and I was kind of disappointed.
No, it wasn't the best episode out there. And you know what? I want to start off on a positive note. So let's go ahead and watch this. Marvel Studios celebrates the movies, and then we can talk about that, and then we'll close out of here.
I love being with people. It's the most incredible thing in the world.
What are you doing? Oh, this is nice.
That world may change and evolve, but the one thing that will never change, we're all part of one big family. We are Groot. to you. He's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
That's right.
We're all part of one universe
Wakanda forever!
that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory.
On your left. Avengers!
I've lived a lot of lives. But I'm done running from my past. We have unfinished business.
Who's we?
When you love something, you fight for it. We're the ones who changed everything.
That shit is cool, isn't it, Cyber?
Not bad, not bad. I mean, it's pretty much just showing images from everything else and the reactions to Endgame. I could care less about other people's reactions. All I care about is my reaction. That's
Yeah, but
what I
the
care
Stan
about.
Lee introduction is great, right, Taylor?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I always love hearing Stan Lee. Stan Lee is an icon, and I love seeing all those iconic scenes strung together. I mean, Marvel just does it right. If you're gonna do one of these, a video like this, they know how to do it. It was perfectly edited. Again, hit all the iconic scenes, hit the chill up the spine moment.
Oh yeah, I love it that they brought back that Endgame scene with Cap and everything, and Avengers Assemble and everything. That was perfect.
And then it rolled right into the current movies. Black Widow. For a minute there, I thought you accidentally were showing the Black Widow trailer, but then I realized no, it was going to Black Widow and Shang-Chi, and then it was talking about the future stuff and showed all the logos for the announced movies, the Marvels and Love and Thunder and all of those. So
It's
I thought it was really well done.
It's definitely exciting. That there's a lot of really good movies coming up in the next couple months.
Oh yeah.
Cyber, what do you think, man? I have to imagine even as much as it didn't do that much for you. I like the Fantastic Four thing at the end is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that was cool. Yeah, I mean, showing that the future is the Fantastic Four. So, I mean, we know that they're coming. They've been talking about it now. Now that they have Fox, they can use it finally. So we'll actually probably finally get a decent Fantastic Four. That that's what the Marvel fans have been wanting. I mean, I had nothing against the first two that they made with like Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Ian Grufford, Michael Chiklis. I love those films. I think they were fantastic. I enjoyed them. It was just that reboot that they tried to do in 2016 that was horrible. Oh my god, that movie was just flat out like the worst movie I've ever seen.
That was an abomination. That movie was god awful. But I agree with you on the other two. Were fine. I enjoyed them a lot. I got them on DVD. I like them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I hold Marvel at such high standards that I don't see how they can't blow it out of the park with their version of the Fantastic Four. We should start seeing some news here soon in the next couple of months about where the pre-production's at. You know what I mean? Because they should be rounding out the casting, I would think, by in the next couple of months. That should be wrapped up, and they should be, starting to actually plan real production. Because from what I understand, this film is going to come out like at the end of 2023, basically, potentially. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see who they cast for who. I think that compared to, like Cyber said, that last Fantastic Four film that came out, I mean, I just want to see a comic book accurate thing. The way they did the thing in that freaking that last Fantastic Four film was ridiculous. It didn't even look accurate at all. That was terrible. But it'll be interesting to see how they cast that. But no, I really enjoyed that whole video. I love the whole Stan Lee influence. And I thought that was very well done. Marvel's really good at putting together stuff like that. I think they are. I think they're really good at putting together promotional material, trailers, stuff like that. They do a good job. But just to kind of wrap things up, guys, since we basically there's not much really to talk about with this episode of What If this week. And we went ahead and got through Shang-Chi. Taylor, do you want to plug anything? Of course, you're coming from the Podcast of Champions and sakar.freeforums.net. Do you want to shout out anybody or?
Yeah, I just invite anyone who's listening, anyone who sees this video, come join us on the forum. It is sakar.freeforums.net. I'm sure Jeff will put it in the thing at the bottom there, in the notes under the video. And our YouTube channel is called Podcast of Champions, where we review everything Marvel as well as a lot of other stuff. Not Marvel, we do DC, we do Star Wars, we do The Mandalorian. So we look into all the, whatever we want to talk about, and hopefully other people want to hear about. It's run by the Grandmaster and Lord Deathman and Arch Stanton. I'm really just a talking head. They just bring me on to run my mouth when they need me. They're the ones that run the thing, but they do a great job. So I invite everybody to come check it out and join in.
Most definitely. And we'll probably, I'm sure, be getting together to do some kind of review for Dune when Dune comes out in a month. So
yeah, we're all looking forward to that one.
Yep. But we still got to get Cyber on there. We got to figure out how the hell we can. Cyber's gonna have to take a day off on Saturday so he can come on the Podcast of Champions.
Yep.
That's going to have to happen. That's going to have to happen.
I'll have to do that.
Cyber, do you want to go ahead and plug any of your individual content or anything like that while I give you the chance here?
Well, of course, if you like our amazing MCU's Bleeding Edge and want to check out my other solo content under Cybernetichshark, definitely check that out on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all those things. I'm on TikTok. I'm on pretty much anywhere you can find me. You can also find us on Rizzle. Me and Jeff are on Rizzle, and we go on there quite often. It's a really fun little app. Really great and fun. Definitely check that out too, guys. But yeah, if you enjoy this stuff and want to see, if you were looking for more than just MCU content, I do all kinds of movie content on my YouTube channel. I review everything. I've recently been doing the James Bond films. So getting ready for the newest James Bond when it comes out in November. So check that out if you like, if you're a James Bond fan and so forth and stuff like that. So and I will be having my own personal Shang-Chi review up soon on my channel too as well. So look forward to seeing that up there too, guys, if you are interested.
Which I'll definitely be checking out myself, I'm sure. I may not get through the whole thing, but I'll do a couple minutes at least, Cyber. So, okay, well, I mean, just to call things out here and wrap things up for tonight, I just want to thank Taylor very much for coming on again. We haven't had you in a while, Taylor. It was really good to see you.
Great to see you.
Taylor's a friend of the program, and we've got some Infinity Saga reviews coming up when What If ends that I'm sure we'll be seeing Taylor again probably on here in the future. I'd have to imagine that when we get to the Avengers, Taylor is going to want to be in on that panel. Right, Taylor?
Yeah, I would love to. That is my all-time favorite superhero movie right there.
Is it really?
Yes.
Honestly, that's not a bad pick. I don't want to expound too much on it, but I got to be honest with you. That movie has a special place in my heart. Like, I keep it in its own spot compared to the other Avengers films and everything. Like, they all kind of go in their own category for me. You know, even Age of Ultron has its own spot where kind of like, you know, honestly, I don't know. I feel like years later, people are going to look back and they're going to appreciate Age of Ultron.
I love Age of Ultron. I don't have to go years later. I'm not going to be around years later. I love it right now. Okay.
No, I love it too. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Any Avengers movie that would have came out coming off of the original Avengers film was going to be really having some stiff competition to compete with that. You know. But all right. So basically, you know, for everybody at the MCU's Bleeding Edge and for the Podcast of Champions, sakar.freeforums.net, for Cybernetic Shark, for Taylor first, for me, Jeff, True Knowledge in the house, we're going to say peace out to everybody, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Next week.